had something come up in your life, a tragedy, just an unfortunate circumstance, something that upended your day-to-day routine, something that seemed like a mountain that you would never get around, never get over, never get to see the other side of, and get back to whatever normalcy you had beforehand. A lot of us have gone through something similar to that this year, but a lot of us have experienced that on a very personal level with family, with loved ones. Maybe it was death, maybe it was being cut off from a relationship. All of us have faced these moments at some point in our lives. And what someone else's big event may not seem as big to you compared to the event that you've gone through, the struggle you've had. But all of us face these struggles, face these hardships, and all of us will face more. Unfortunately, that's just kind of the way the world works, with sin being a part of it, with us rebelling against God on a regular basis. We're going to find ourselves in hardships of our own design or of just natural circumstance and the way things kind of work and happen. And so today I wanted to, with that in mind, take a look in the book of John and see what Jesus says about joy in those times of sorrow, in those times of struggle, in those times of tragedy. How do we cling to joy? How do we see joy in those moments? And so I want to look at John 16. I'm just going to read verse 22 through 24. So if you want to open your Bible and follow along with me. Starting in verse 22, it says, "So with you, now is your time of grief, but I will see you again, and you will rejoice, and no one will take away your joy. In that day you will no longer ask me anything. Very truly I tell you, my Father will give you whatever you ask in my name. Until now you have not asked for anything in my name. Ask and you will receive, and your joy will be complete." And now Jesus has just told his disciples that he is going to leave them, but that he will return and they can't follow him to where he's going. And they're confused, they're kind of mumbling among themselves, trying to figure out what it is Jesus is actually talking about. And Jesus begins to kind of break it down and say, listen, I'm going to die. Right? You're going to mourn because you've followed me for 3 years, you've seen what I preach, you've seen what I teach, you've seen how I live, and I'm going to be executed in a way that it's wrong. Right? He's going to be crucified for sins, for crimes that he doesn't commit, that he never has committed. And so he's telling the disciples, he's warning them that there's going to be a time of mourning. There's going to be a time of struggle, of this mountain that's put there that you just can't get around. You can't see past. It's going to interrupt everything they do. But he gives them this glimpse of hope, right? This promise of hope that he's going away, he's coming back. And when he comes back, they're going to experience a joy that will be complete. A joy that can't be taken away, that may be pushed to the back burner at times. It may be hard to cling to it at times, but they're going to have a joy that's going to get them through all of the hardest times they will face. And that joy is very simple, right? That joy, the place that it comes from, it's a very simple understanding that he gives them of how to receive it, of how to make it complete, of how to lean into the joy that God gives us. And he says, you ask. You ask God for that joy. And you begin working through it. There's a lot more to it, but I love this simple answer that Jesus gives. In verse 24, "Until now you have not asked for anything in my name, but now ask and you will receive, and your joy will be made complete." Right? He's telling them they now have a direct line to God. They can have a direct conversation asking for what it is they need in those hard times, what they need to get through that struggle. With our youth, just last night, on Wednesday night, we walked through this same lesson. And I challenged them, and I want to challenge you to do the same thing. To take a note card, take a pen, and if you're in a time of tragedy right now, if you can think back to a time of tragedy you've been in, write out just a simple 1 or 2 sentence prayer asking God for what you need or what you felt like you really needed then. Maybe it's guidance, maybe it's comfort, maybe it's just having somebody there whose shoulder you can cry on. But write out that prayer and keep that close to you. Keep that in mind. Remind yourself of what it is that prayer is and understand that you can ask God directly for that. And ask expecting that you will receive it. Ask it expecting that God is going to help you through that hardship. He's going to provide that comfort. He's going to provide that guidance, that wisdom, or maybe just that patience and endurance to get through the tough time. So as we look at tragedies that are going to happen, that have happened, these obstacles that we will continue to face this side of heaven, I hope that you can just look back at that card, look back at that prayer and say, as long as I'm asking God for this, as long as I'm aware that I can turn to God, and that by turning to God and asking Him for what I need, that joy sticks with me. That joy can be found, it can be made complete. I hope that'll get us through our tough times that have come along, that will come along, or maybe that you're just kind of stuck in right now. And thanks for joining us today. Bye.